Uh, Congratulations, everyone, on being appointed to the Board of Elections. Some of you again, some new members. I'm Kevin Karpinski, as you know, and I'm certainly looking forward to working with you. This is the only meeting I ever chair, and I chair it very briefly. So the first order of business we have is the election of officers. Is there... There's a quorum present for the meeting, correct? And there's a member of both political parties present. In fact, all the members are here. The first order of business is the election of officers. And is there a nomination for president of the Montgomery County Board of Elections?
Yes, there is a nomination. I would like to nominate Mr. James F. Shallett to be president of the Board of Elections.
Second.
Okay. Any discussion? Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Is there a nomination for vice president of the Montgomery County Board of Elections?
I nominate Naheed Kozame for vice president.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
And is there a nomination for secretary to the Montgomery County Board of Elections?
Yes. On behalf of Gracie and myself, I'm honored and pleased to nominate Mary Ann Keefe, who just finished a 4-year term as president of the board, to be the board secretary.
Okay. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay. All those in favor?
We do have some discussion.
Okay. Discussion.
During Mary Ann's tenure as president, the board made a number of improvements in the election process, almost all of them in bipartisan fashion. I just wanted to mention some of them at this time. We made the website more user-friendly and informative. We made the minutes of the meetings much more detailed so that the public could understand what's happening at our meetings. We made recordings of our meetings available to the public on our website and on YouTube. We had several meetings specifically to get public comment, including an off-site meeting. We successfully increased the budget for outreach to voters about the 3 ways to vote, including the first ever budget specifically for outreach to Spanish-speaking voters. And most recently, successfully increased resources for transition to the new voting system. We successfully got county resources for a 9th voting site that state law leaves up to the county. We added new early voting sites in Bethesda, Chevy Chase, Damascus, Gaithersburg, and Wheaton. We clarified the ability of young voters to register to vote. We identified and began the process of addressing issues with the MVA and voter registration, although there's still much more to be done. We implemented the state law that broadens First Amendment rights by moving the no electioneering lines closer to the entrance to the polls. We addressed election day lines by promoting early voting and voting by mail. We addressed election day lines in Leisure World by adding a 3rd polling place at Leisure World. We ran inclusive meetings that allowed all board members of both parties, including both regular and substitute board members, to have their say on issues before the board. So we all would like to work together to face the board's major challenges for the next 4 years, and I think Mary Ann's experience makes her an excellent choice to be the board secretary, so I'm pleased to nominate her for that position.
Thank you very much. Any further discussion? Okay. All those in favor, please say
Aye.
Okay. Well, congratulations to Jim and Naheed and Mary Ann. Those are going to be our elected officers for the 4-year period. Mary Ann, do you have something to add?
If I may, at this time, as we're turning over the gavel, so to speak, although it's your fist, I'd like to thank David for his generous nominating remarks, but certainly the accomplishments that he enumerated were accomplishments that were done as a whole. With a very congenial board, very working collegially, along with our board attorney and the board staff. We're small in numbers here at the Board of Elections. There are only 7 of us that are board members and only 28 full-time staff. But our responsibility is large, and it is equally very important. Overseeing the election process from planning to implementation to canvassing for over 600,000 Montgomery County citizens. Mr. President, as past board president, I'm ready to continue my work of the past 4 years as you now lead the board, in what is a very important new activity, the installation of the new voting system. Your background and reputation certainly precedes you to this office. As a well-respected attorney, having served as a former assistant district attorney in the Bronx, New York, with very high-profile cases, former assistant attorney general for New York State, formerly working in the U.S. Department of Justice Antitrust Division, and now as a criminal defense lawyer in Montgomery County. In addition, Jim's activity in the Montgomery County community spans multiple organizations, from neighborhood associations to youth sports, religious and legal activities. I look forward to working with you and all the board.
Well, thank you. If I could just respond. First of all, I want to thank the board for their trust in me. It's a great honor. And I want to thank our Republican chairman who's here, Mike Higgs, and the Republican Central Committee, and the Governor Hogan for his faith in me, and Naheed and Alex and David and Marianne.
And Grace.
And Grace and Jackie, of course. This is a tremendous honor. It's a great challenge. There's 3 Republicans and 2 Democrats, but as of this moment, all of us and the 28 or 30 employees in this department, we're all in the same boat. We got to make the voting work. We got to make it be fair, work, and the people have faith in us. So I'm committed to a nonpartisan approach to this. I want to thank Marianne for her service as president. Everybody's been so gracious to me and Alex, welcoming us. It's been an easy transition. I really appreciate it. Marianne has led this board with grace and dignity and integrity and enthusiasm. She's a great public servant, and I just hope I can live up to the standards you've set.
Very kind.
Thank you.
Does anyone else have any other comments? Okay. The next few things on the agenda, we have over the years spent a fair amount of time looking over, but I have spoken to Jim and Alex, and I know that they have both already read the bylaws. So I'm certainly not going to reread them. If you guys have any questions about them, please feel free to let me know. But rather than go through all of that, particularly since we're going to be down at the beach next week and we have a meeting either the following week or the following week thereafter, why don't I just briefly go through what's in your notebook, and that'll give you at least a starting point. Margaret staff put this together, and it's just it's the contact information for the board members and the board staff, and we've included the bylaws and the powers and duties of the local board of elections, the Open Meetings Act manual, and the calendar, which I really encourage you to read very carefully. I know that there's perception by some that the election comes and the work of the Board of Elections ends, and that's simply not the case. This will be the shortest meeting you will have over your term with the board, and obviously you'll be spending a lot of time here during the election time. So with that said, Margaret, do you want to give an overview of the Board of Elections and then go through the timeline?
Sure. Basically, if you go back to the calendar, I just put together a very quick synopsis of the Board of Elections, and in the June 15th meeting, each section will be providing you more extensive information. But basically, we're responsible for the conduct of all the state and federal elections held in the county, and they are administered under the Maryland Constitution, election laws, and the regulations and the county charter. We're into the sections are voter services, which is really about registering people to vote, processing those applications, as well as voter registrar training, and our absentee section. Operations has to deal with a lot of what we would describe as election day activities or early voting activities. That includes filing of the offices, training, recruiting, and serving as election judge, early voting, all the polling place operations, preparation of all the supplies, as well as confirming the communication lines, coordination of all the transportation of the election equipment and other supplies. We are a Section 203 voting rights county, so we are required that all election-related and voting-related materials are in English and Spanish, and we are required to have at least one bilingual individual speaking Spanish in every polling place. We have exceeded that since 2002, the general election. We also are sensitive to the needs of some other languages, and we try to, where we have identified those languages, we try to make sure that like some Asian languages in Rockville, we try to have people that are bilingual there. Our information technology section has to manage and coordinate the technology of both the county and the state. Besides the county IT system, there are many aspects to the state system. There's the voter registration system, there's the equipment, there's the poll books, there's several servers that coordinate a lot of the information. And then they also are required to make sure that we are all complying with all of the IT security protocols of the state and county, as well as coordinating the equipment maintenance. The administrative functions for our department include the budget, purchasing, contracts, and human resources. All permanent employees are county employees and protected by the county merit system and/or the McGeo union contract. Positions are all competitive appointments conducted in accordance to the personnel rules. The department has 28 assigned permanent personnel, and depending on the timing of the election and where we're at in the calendar, we will hire anywhere from 40 to 100 persons to help us conduct the election, and that does not include the election judges and our future vote students that work at the polling place. Communications to the public are directed by the board from this office, the administrative office, and need to adhere to county and state regulations and protocols. And as I mentioned earlier, the details from each section will be presented at the actual meeting on June 15th. The election timeline. The most significant things that are coming up are the selection of your early voting locations. The deadline for us to submit to the state board is September 28th. The deadline for designating all of the polling places for 2016 is January 26th. We will have a mock election with the new voting system in the later part of this year in October. We will have to activate at least one polling place. We'll probably have voting occurring here also, and you will hear more about that at the biennial meeting. The city of Rockville has been designated as a pilot election site, so we will actually conduct a city election utilizing the new voting equipment. The close of candidate filings is February 3rd, and that also includes those individuals filing for the national committees as delegates to the national conventions. Close of voter registration and political party change is April 5th. Early voting commences April 14th and goes through April 21st from 10 a.m. to 8 p.m. You'll need to be available for the opening that morning and then the closing that day. And then during that period, we need to coordinate that you're available by phone in case there's a disaster of some sort, such as a fire or power outage. You'll have to work the night before the election, you'll be given several routes, and you'll check polling places to make sure they're up and running. You'll identify any problems that you're hearing about so that you can notify us so that we can deploy whatever resources are necessary. And then on election day, you'll start at 6 o'clock in the morning, and you'll go until you'll come back here at the end of the night, and when the last results come in, you're free to go. And then the canvass commences, and that will begin the Thursday after the election at 10 a.m. and we will have to tabulate every ballot that has been returned either through the absentee process or the provisional balloting process. And that will probably go at the very latest May 7th. So these are significant time commitments that you need to be aware of and to build into your calendar. And as we get further into the election process, probably in December, Margie and Lisa will give you information related to the upcoming calendar year and the full 2016 cycle. And of course, you will have a lot to say about what kind of time commitments you will be able to provide. And that's it in a nutshell. I have provided a year-long calendar that is certainly tentative, but it certainly gives you an idea of time commitments. And I have provided a copy of the state election calendar that has all of the details and significant dates, as well as the statutory compliance. Yes.
Can I ask about the Rockville election? Is that something that we are running, or are
No,
they running it themselves?
they run it themselves
With the new equipment?
with the new equipment, but we will be assisting them.
Assisting. So in terms of,
Well-
will you provide staff or?
Well, there's some statutory requirements related to that. You have to be a City of Rockville resident. But it'll be things, we will be learning things like creating the ballot, programming the ballot for tabulation purposes, the type of support we have provided in the past. So we would do the layout of the ballot. We will coordinate the training between the state. The state will have the lead trainers, but obviously we're going to have our staff there to observe the training, as well as they have their own trainers that will be conducting the training for the election judges, following their procedures. Obviously, some of the procedures that are designated for the City of Rockville are not necessarily the same as they are for a state federal election. An example is they call early voting what we call absentee voting, they call early voting. Okay?
Just because the election law article doesn't apply to a municipal election. So every municipality kind of picks and chooses various parts of the election law article that they use, but depending upon their size, they may not incorporate the entire election law article.
So our real interest here is to see the equipment in operation, right?
And-
In a real election.
And to allow our staff a hands-on experience and to
How many
observe it.
precincts do they have?
10. And then they have their absentee precinct.
Are you going to just have one scanner per precinct?
Yes. Their
So far.
turnout is not that great. So one is more than enough.
More than enough?
One, oh yeah. I think somebody told me they have like a total of less than, I know 25,000 or less. Is Mr. Subin in here?
Yeah.
Do you remember how many voters they had the last go around? It was less than 25. Was it? That many?
Yeah, it was no more than 30.
Yeah.
25.
It was, it's the equivalent of about 15 of our precincts.
David, you have a question?
Yes. The timeline that you just went through stops at May 7th, which I guess is the canvas for the primary, although the calendar goes until the following Monday. And I guess my question is do we think we're going to finish on the 7th, or should we be reserving through the 9th? And then same question for the November election, which is listed as going through until the following Monday, which is the 21st of November during Thanksgiving week. Should we expect to reserve those times up until that following Monday or not?
The year-long calendar was, I kind of put worst case scenario. Generally speaking, you as a board, but keep in mind that you've had some pretty low voter turnout years. 2012 was a low voter turnout year. 2014 was a low voter turnout year. So you all had completed your duties in advance of that Tuesday date. This is a open presidential seat, open Congress seat, open Senate seat, and I think the participation levels will be much higher. Your absentee numbers will probably be higher. Your provisional numbers will be higher. Therefore, you will have a bigger workload. I think that you need to think that you're going to go through the Tuesday that I estimated. I would be happy.
It's on Monday on this calendar.
Okay, a Monday. But realistically, I need to get the certification document on the Tuesday to the state board.
You say the Tuesday. Which day is the certification document due?
The
for
10th of May and the
Okay.
22nd of November.
Okay.
So we have to be finished by then.
So,
Well,
so
we can always ask for an extension, but
Yeah.
realistically, I mean, there's the certification piece that you're working on, and there's the audit piece that the staff is working on
right.
to reconcile all of the numbers because we have to turn them in simultaneously. We have to show that the number of votes cast equals the number of voters that showed up at the polls or at early voting or absentee or provisional, and we've done that in the past.
I guess the thing is, David, when we get closer, we're going to have to figure out, which at least 4 people who would be in the area, because theoretically, not to be the person who gives you bad news, but if you had a recount, that doesn't even need to be filed until May 9th. Petition for recount.
So it's possible if there were a recount that we're looking at substantially more time in May.
Yes.
Oh yeah, if there's a recount, it's, but we haven't had one.
I understand since probably since Glendenning and Sowerbury.
Correct.
I wanted to go over our meeting schedule
Yes,
Sure.
when Margaret's done.
I'm done.
Because I've spoken to Naheed and Alex, but I haven't spoken to the other members in terms of our calendar. I know on our side we've had a few conflicts, and I wanted to ask David and Gracie and Jackie and Mary Ann on our schedule. Because I know
Is that in here somewhere?
It's on the back of our meeting.
Yeah.
Executive
Okay.
agenda.
Okay.
no, Al, have you any word on that trial you have?
No word yet. I have a 4-day jury trial in Virginia. It starts the 15th. So that's of June. So that is a problem for me, sir.
I'm going to be gone all of July.
I'm sorry?
I'm going to be gone all of July.
Well, that raises a point that I had thought about, because a lot of these deadlines, things heat up in September. Should we consider having a meeting in August and not July?
I would certainly be in favor of that because I also plan to be away the week of July 20th. It's just a coincidence that I happen to have.
I don't know what your schedules are.
My schedule is to be away. That the current date in August, I'm going to be away. So 1
We
week
can
out of
change
year.
that.
Whole,
But,
the whole month?
I'm sorry.
Whole month of...
No.
I'd like to have 7 at every meeting. That's a goal.
Right.
7 of us.
Yeah,
I'm just saying.
Yeah.
In the summer.
Well, we usually, I think we, for the
Yeah,
most part,
yeah, I
we
think-
had
yeah.
complete attendance, yeah.
Well, should we- I'm sorry.
I was just going to say that I personally think it would not be a good idea to skip meetings. I think it's better to reschedule them so that we can be there and certainly deal with everybody's obligations. But I think there's a lot to be done.
I agree.
So that would just be my.
Alex, is your June 25th? I mean, you said it might settle, but
June 15th, it's possible, but I have to assume it's going to go forward.
would June 22nd be better for you?
It would for me, yeah.
Can I throw that out to everybody?
I need to check.
June 22nd. It's the week of the wedding, but it's early enough in the week. I can make it work.
You're the mother of the groom, though.
Yeah.
Kevin,
And that means what?
at this point,
Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I'm sorry. What's the?
June
The date can be
22nd.
changed.
June
How much
22nd
notice
is
do you have to
okay?
give to change a meeting then? Because today's June 2nd.
You have to post notice a week, at least a week in
Weekend.
Oh,
advance.
okay.
Yeah.
So changing it today for
Okay,
June 15th is
22nd.
okay.
Fine.
Okay.
And David, I think Jim's point was that if we were not going to have a meeting in August, maybe we'd switch around, have a meeting, not have one in July, but have one in August, but
no.
obviously. we
Yeah,
want
if Jackie's
to
going to be
there.
gone
In
and...
July, you're going to be one. You cannot make it July the 20th.
Should not July
Can we
20th.
have the following week?
Well, what's David? David's got a vacation.
One day.
Well, let's-
No, my
Let's
mine
settle
is.
June.
Yeah, let's go down.
let's
If we can go
settle.
down.
Good idea.
Does June 22nd
It's
work
okay.
for everybody?
It's okay for me.
Yeah, I can.
And also,
make it work.
Margaret, if there's something staff that prevents a meeting too, let me know.
Let me,
Yeah.
22nd's fine for me.
Is it?
You can do July too. After that 20th.
Yeah, I mean, the goal is to have, obviously not everybody's going to be here every meeting, but
Right.
we can.
Well, and summers are probably the most
Yeah.
difficult, so
Did-
that's fine.
Margaret, does June 22nd work?
I serve at your pleasure, so you bet.
July 27th, you will be back.
Dave, does that work for you?
Yes, it does.
June 22nd work?
So it's instead of
Yeah.
June 15th.
Yeah, I'm wide
Is that
open.
good?
Yeah,
Yeah.
you will.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's fine.
All right, so June 22nd. Now, Alex, you
July
July 20
20
doesn't work for you?
Because I'll be away, so I could
You're
do it
doing
the
it-
week
when
before.
are you
or
gonna be
the
away,
week
David?
after.
August.
Oh, July.
Not all of August, but
July
the week of
27th.
August 15th, I'll be unavailable. But
What,
propose another date in July, and I'm probably okay. I just have to check it.
what, do we want to have a meeting in July and August? What's the board
I
done in the
think-
past?
You need to decide on your early voting sites by the September meeting.
So we should have a July and August.
I don't, if you don't do it in July, then you definitely need to meet in August. We have to do one or the other.
But if we do that, the August meeting's gonna go probably for hours.
Yeah, whatever meeting you decide to do, if you skip a meeting, you are going to have
We
a
can do
meeting.
July and August. We just want to move July 20.
To July, Monday, July 27.
How's July 27th for everybody?
Hang on.
And is that one for you?
Yet actually getting away from the third, I have a continuing conflict on the third Monday when we normally meet. As a result, I miss a work meeting every month because of that. So I don't mind the fourth Monday at all.
So, does July 27 work for everybody?
Hang on a second, please.
That's good.
I'm due back August 1st.
Are you gone all of July? I thought you said August.
No, all of July. I'll be here for August.
I can do July 27th.
I had to switch something around, but I think I can do it. A client. I was going on a business trip for a client. So for me, it's a maybe. It depends on the client. If I can get it.
So July 27, Jackie's out, right? But everybody else, and Gracie
I'm out.
maybe?
I'm out for now. Yeah.
Well, you have 5. That's
Yeah,
a majority. I mean, that's
a
a
quorum.
quorum.
What about July? Then what about July 13th?
Could do it the week before.
Is that July 13th? Oh,
July,
you're gone. Oh,
27?
Jackie's gone. all
The
of
entire
July.
month.
27 is good though.
Well,
July,
but
July
the
13th works also for me.
Yeah, but the two, Jackie and Gracie aren't here.
The thir-
But
the
you have a
thir-
quorum
July
anyway,
20
Jim.
the 13th you
have
can
a
be
quorum.
here.
The 13th, yeah, I don't have a trip.
I will not be here.
You
I'll be out of town on the 13th.
So I think July
By
27th.
27?
I think
27th
on the
is fine.
27th,
Okay,
I'll talk to my
27.
client. and
Okay,
see
so
if I can move
so
it.
let's do July 27,
Okay.
and then based upon what you said, Margaret, should we keep August 17th,
I'm not available August 17th.
24th?
August?
That was marked as tentative, I guess, right?
That's
Yeah,
the
but I
August.
think, but Margaret's right. With all this heating up, what's good for you, David? In August, everybody, week before.
August 24. I'm out August 10th.
If I may, you're going down a little bit of a dangerous road. I mean, if we're going to look at every meeting date and
Well, we
and-
said just.
I mean, because these have been in place for a long time. I mean, that wasn't something started. I continued what was there before in terms of it being the third Monday. People generally know that that's when the Board of Elections meets in terms of the general public, etc. Now, I don't think it's necessarily a big thing for the summer because, you know, you get into vacations and whatnot with people. But just like with the canvas, I mean, very often you're going to have one or two people
No, I agree.
occasionally miss a meeting.
So let's keep September 21st on and just talk about August, because it's summer.
Okay.
So July, you're going to do the 27th, is that correct?
Yeah,
Yes.
It's June 22nd, July 27th,
And then we're talking about
August, but David,
I said not the week of the 17th.
the 24th work?
24th is fine.
August 24th?
24th, I have a trial. So I
Okay.
start a 8-day trial.
Okay.
And I'm
I
gone.
should have it my cabinet.
I have no idea.
What about August 10?
August 10,
No.
I have
Margaret.
17 members of my family
Okay,
in
no.
on the 7th
But
of
that's
August.
Oh, is that all?
Well,
Yeah.
plus you're
You
only
might
like,
want a meeting.
Yeah.
And they have to be on a Monday?
No,
No?
I don't think so. Have to be on Monday.
Kevin?
No, it's
Yeah,
what you
because
want
I
to do.
don't believe so, no.
We'll do August and then leave everything else.
Yeah, oh, yeah, I mean, yeah, obviously you can do what you want.
We,
I
you know,
think it gets
what I
very
would like
confusing.
to suggest is that we keep the August 17th date, and once we get through the June 22nd and July 28th meeting,
Or July-
27th,
Yeah.
then you can decide if you want to have the August meeting.
We may not
To
need it.
you
We're
may
gonna
you
need
may
it.
have a unified decision on what you want to proceed with regards to your first big deadline,
Okay.
which is early voting.
That's a good suggestion. Okay.
That was just a recommendation.
I hate to disagree with our election director, but I would just say that if we are going to keep a meeting on the calendar for August, that we can always cancel. Canceling the meeting's easy.
Okay.
I would suggest that we pick a date where people can be there.
Okay.
As I said, that week is the one week in August that I'm not available.
Okay then.
And Kevin, when?
We don't have to meet on a Monday.
Okay. When are you available in August? And David, you're just that week is no
Just
good.
that week.
And what about you? Okay.
As far as I know, it's at some point I'm going to be going away. I'm going to be
Okay.
going up to Maine. I have no idea when.
Margaret, so August, when are you?
The 7th to the 16th, I'm out.
So we're not wed to a Monday.
No.
Okay.
And you're away the week of the
I'm
24th?
away the week of the 24th.
Okay.
And I'm back on the 17th.
The week of the 10th, someday on that week, or is that
No,
That's
Margaret's
the week
just
I'm
away.
gone.
the whole week? Okay.
That would not
What about the
be.
19th? Like a Wednesday? Would that work?
No, I'm gone that week.
Okay,
the whole
which one
week
you're
you're
talking, August?
August.
Okay, just leave it the way it is, and then along the way we may not even have the meeting.
Yeah.
I mean,
Let's keep the date of the 17th
right.
and leave it on the calendar, and then
It's
after
on
we
there as tentative.
Yeah,
Right.
it is there. So,
I won't be able
then
to.
the conversation.
Staff can also assist you. I mean, we've gathered vacation schedules.
I mean,
in
if
the
we do
past,
have
I'm
to
sure
have
that
an
information
August
around.
date and it is dealing with a major issue, I would suggest we will have to move it from the 17th so that we
Right.
can have
Let me make a suggestion.
everybody here.
I want everybody here.
Let me make a suggestion about the August date. The first day of school, which then means people's vacation schedules often surround that, is August 31. What do we think about meeting on that date?
Which
I-
day is
I-
that?
August 31st.
31st.
When is Labor Day?
Labor
Day is
Day.
the following Monday.
5 or 7.
Jackie,
Is
that
that
work?
The
Labor
7th
Day?
of
Oh, it's
the
August
7th of
31st?
September.
August 31st,
Okay.
and then we'll leave all the other dates.
I think that works.
Okay, that's fine.
And is that Monday still?
Yep.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's Monday.
Okay, so we're June 22nd, July 27th, August 31st, and all the other dates are still good. Alex, you have one?
Yeah.
Good.
And you want August to still be listed as tentative, or do you want it just to be listed?
10, in case. Doesn't make a difference.
Yeah. Leave it tentative.
Yeah, there's no harm in seeing where we are.
Yeah.
Does that work for everybody? Good, thanks. That's good.
Any other schedule? I know Margie has stuff for the biannual meeting.
Oh, yes.
Wait,
Um,
save it for
do we-
I
bring-
thought that was at the end of the agenda.
Oh, is it?
I thought that's where we were, but okay.
Are we?
We are.
Have you reviewed the bylaws of the Open Meetings Act?
Well,
Yes.
yeah, I mean, the reality is that both Jim and Alex have already reviewed, they've
read
got
it
the
a couple
bylaws, I
times.
read it, and I didn't think there was a need to review it with the
Can we review the Open Meetings Act?
5. Can we review it?
Sure.
Why you want to review it?
I want to review what the rules are for our meeting and for our meeting here and outside of here.
It's the same as the last 4 years.
Well, we had some questions coming into this meeting. You received the emails, right? This is the only time we
Sure.
really have a discussion on it. So I
Okay.
think that,
Let me give you
Not a
a
bad
brief
idea.
summary of it then.
Okay.
So the Open Meetings Act applies when the board convenes as a public body for the consideration or transaction of public business. Obviously, when the board is considering the transaction of public business, a quorum is necessary. A quorum for purposes of this board is 4 members, with at least 1 member from the other political party. It could be 3 Democrats and a Republican. It could be 3 Republicans and a Democrat. But you
Including
can-
substitutes, the rule?
Correct. So it's at least 4 members have to be present for all board meetings as well as when there's canvassing. You had asked a question about the notice. Notice has to be provided 1 week ahead of time. The notice is provided on the board's website. Our meetings are chaired either by the chair, or if the chair is absent from a meeting, the vice president, chairs the meeting. All meetings, whether they are administrative functions or regular board meetings, are taped. For our meetings, as many of you know if you've looked on the website, or if you're a returning board member, they are fairly detailed in nature. A summary is prepared when it's a summation of a meeting that's otherwise not covered by the Open Meetings Act. The agenda for each meeting is prepared and provided to the board members, usually about a week ahead of time. And then obviously any amendments or adjustments to the agenda can be made at the time of the meeting itself. And what typically happens, Jim, is the very first thing is, are there any additions, deletions, or changes to the agenda? And Margaret usually leads that. So in terms of, those are sort of the general structure of our open meetings. Obviously, there will be times when we have closed meetings that are covered by the Open Meetings Act. And the Open Meetings Act itself has 14 reasons why a meeting could be closed. But for our purposes, the ones that are really of significance are when there are personnel issues, to obtain legal advice, to obtain consultation with staff or consultants regarding litigation, to review executive session minutes. We don't review those obviously in an open meeting. Those would be the subject of an executive session. And the one that we'll see as the budget we're going through the budget process is the county executive's proposed budget. A budget that has not been approved is reviewed in executive session until it has been approved by the county. Obviously, when we have closed meetings, what I typically do is provide the president of the board a executive session sheet that gives the reason, and then a motion is made to go into executive session, seconded, and then the reason is articulated on the record so the public is aware of why we're having a closed meeting. And the minutes that you'll see will obviously reflect when, the reason for it, and who voted to close it, who was present, and when the meeting was reopened, and if there was any further business. We've had some discussion about when meetings are not subject to the Open Meetings Act, and typically those are when their meeting is of less than a quorum. So if we don't have 4 people, it's not an Open Meetings Act issue. So if there were only 3 people present, now you can't transact public business, but you certainly don't run afoul of the Open Meetings Act.
That's the one where I get confused, because I always felt that I was not able to have a meeting with the majority members, for example, because the numbers were such, to have a meeting
Right.
with all of them, that it violated the Open Meetings Act. Was I misinterpreting
No,
that?
because that would be 4,
Yes.
and that would be a quorum. But if you have less than a quorum, then you would not have an open
Even
meeting.
though it was all of one party.
Yeah, it still would. You still can't do that. And of course, the issue is really the
I'm sorry, you
transaction.
cannot do that?
You cannot do that.
So I can't have coffee with Nahid and Alex and talk about business?
Well, that's less than a quorum. It's less than 4 people.
You cannot transact.
You
public
can't
business.
transact public business.
I think, does that
Well,
mean?
like if we go to the beach and we have a drink
Resolving
and
issues.
Mary Ann, David, and I, 3 of us are talking business, are we allowed to talk
Yes.
business?
I mean, you just
You just can't have 4 of us?
But you mean transaction of business means making of motions and
Correct.
resolving to take action as a
Correct.
board.
So an example would be 2 members accompany Margaret to appear in front of the county council, or 3 members appear in front of the county council. That's not an Open Meetings Act issue. The other cases are, the Open Meetings Act Compliance Board has said, for example, when you go to political gatherings, and let's say there were 4 Republicans that were at a political gathering, that's not a quorum for conducting public business, so that would not be an Open Meetings Act issue.
Are we allowed to talk about election board business
Well, you
out of this room?
You can talk about it, but you cannot transact any business. And I, as a general rule, I would recommend that you don't talk about issues that are, significant.
That's what you were talking about.
Yeah.
Getting together in your apartment and talking.
Yeah, you got it, that I couldn't do. And I remember reaching out to Kevin about that early on because it was confusing, and
Well.
the recommendation was that I couldn't.
And in fact, we didn't.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's, err on the side of caution, and just, I don't think it's a good idea to do if you've got a quorum of the board there. Holiday parties of the Board of Elections, the Compliance Board has said that's not an Open Meetings Act issue. All of you obviously will be down at Mayo next week and be talking about election-related materials, but the board has said that's not the transaction of public business.
The board meeting, the Open Meetings Board.
Open Meetings Board. Doesn't apply to training sessions or retreats. And then there are a variety of functions that one would think are maybe the transaction of public business, but they're not the transaction of public business within the meaning of the Open Meetings Act. For example, quasi-judicial issues, for example, an appeal from the denial of a voter registration application is not an Open Meetings Act issue because it's a quasi-judicial act as opposed to an act that's actually covered by the Open Meetings Act. Administrative functions, such as this meeting and organizational meeting, are not subject to the Open Meetings Act.
Where is that in the statute?
I think, isn't it 4-1? I think?
Aren't you the one?
You know,
I
Now,
think
now,
isn't
now,
it-
now, now I'm embarrassed. The non-lawyer next to me is
Oh, my
telling me where
I
it's
think
found.
it is.
oh my
I was
goodness.
reading
Oh, you're talking about the bylaws or the law?
Open
the
meeting?
law. Isn't it in there? Well, Kevin's the lawyer.
Yeah, Kevin's
What are
figuring
you
it out.
asking me for?
Only because you said you knew.
I think that's what I read it. Well, it's like it talks about taking, and then it talks about
The exceptions.
two of the exceptions. I think it's in 4-4. 2 of the exceptions.
But that's the page. That's not the statute.
It gives you 10-508A2, doesn't it?
What about subject matter, functions included and excluded?
226 is, I was looking at that, that's about the definition of meetings. 2.5
I'm looking at 211.
I'm looking at 4 and 4. That's nice. Thank you, Dallas.
So when in doubt, just don't talk.
Well, administrative function is defined in 10.502. And this is sort of a follow-up to what my email was to you yesterday.
Right. Hold on a second.
Title.
Oh, okay.
Definitions, administrative function.
There's 508.
All right, but that doesn't tell you much. Does not include an advisory, judicial, legislative, quasi-judicial, or quasi-legislative function.
So what's your question?
My question is, where does it, I don't have your opinion in front of me, I didn't read it, but which part of the statute that defines today's meeting? You're saying that today's meeting was an administrative function.
It was open to the public. Correct.
I understand.
Yeah.
I'm asking which section of the statute governs today's meeting.
It is, in my view, the definition of administrative function and how the board has interpreted what an administrative function is. I don't have my email from yesterday, but I obviously sent it to you.
Yeah.
10502D.
What is it, Alex?
I think it's 10502.
So it's based on the definition of administrative function
Correct.
and the tradition of the board.
Correct.
Well, didn't you talk to the AG office?
So, and to be very candid, I mean, the last couple of boards we've done it the same way, which is, back in 2003, the board, this meeting wasn't even open to the public, and over the last couple of boards, it's changed that it has been open. Maybe moving forward 4 years from now, we'll make it even, it'll be handled a little differently. But, as I said yesterday, I believe it's an administrative function. So, as did my predecessor.
You say it was Maryland Code 2-201 and 2-202.
You want to read for
That's Maryland
email?
code.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's Maryland Code.
that's gonna
Are you
be-
talking about article?
You want to read your email?
Oh, I see.
Are you talking about,
Statute.
You got it? You have it?
I do.
Well,
Any other questions about the Open Meetings Act?
I learned a lot today.
no, I don't think, because you clarified. Yeah, my question really dealt with when we could get together, how many people could get together. Did they have to be mixed party-wise or whatnot? But
Well,
the basic rule is be careful.
yeah, be careful, and the same thing applies to, as we talked about 4 years ago. There may be some ethical things that you'd
Right.
have concerns about, contributing money to campaigns, having campaign signs, and doing certain political activities, hosting social events. My suggestion always is all of that is it's driven by the facts and your involvement. There is no, one answer to that.
But
Well, I think
the
there
bylaws
is
have
no.
specific
Well, the
rules.
bylaws have some of them, but then there's some gray areas in those, and so if those issues come up,
Can
then
we
I
go-
suggest
We
you
amend-
you
we
come.
Can we go
amended
over
those.
those, please? The bylaws rules dealing with political activity. We actually had occasion to discuss that recently. You and I were.
Well, I know,
We're talking about that.
I was questioning what you could sign your name to, or,
Right.
be on a committee.
Yeah,
an old
I thought,
publisher.
Kevin, I thought we couldn't do fundraisers either.
What he can do?
Huh.
That's not what's
We
on
can
the website.
give money, you can always give money.
No, but you cannot,
um,
but you cannot host like a
You
fundraiser.
can use that as an
No, you
excuse
can
not
use your
to.
home. You voted very
I actually do as a matter of
Use
personal
your
policy.
home, your money,
But I think we
your
can.
name doesn't go
Right.
out.
The law
as
doesn't prevent us from
Gracie
doing it.
comes, Gracie
No, that's what I
invites you
mean,
to.
you could not be the host of the fundraiser.
Yeah.
But you can contribute to a political.
Right.
But you can contribute.
Let me just say
Let's
this.
just go over it.
Let me start with sort of a little background. The bylaws are the product of model bylaws that the state put out a long time ago. The board established a subcommittee that modified those bylaws. And there have been amendments made to the bylaws over the years, and of course this board can make amendments to the bylaws moving forward. My recollection is the political activity section was tweaked somewhat because of concerns board members had regarding a variety of things, lawn signs, contributions, hosting social events. So we can go right through them.
I think it's the political activities part,
Yeah,
right?
Section 4.2. Yeah.
Correct.
4.2.
I remember the last board, we decided, since if it's family member going to use my home for fundraising, as
Correct.
far as I'm not the chair of the fundraising, it will be okay.
Correct.
But if my husband going to have something or somebody else
That
going to
was
have
okay.
something, I remember we talked about it.
So
That's not against the law.
correct. Members can attend campaign fundraisers by candidates, political parties, or ballot issue committees in any election for which the member will be serving on the board. But the caveat is, provided the member pays for his or her own ticket. That was a change that I think this board made. And the member does not publicly indicate that he or she is a member of the Board of Elections. So that's the first one. Can make campaign contributions to candidates or committees, committee issues on the ballot in an election for which the member will be serving on the local board of canvassers, but a member may not use his or her name as a host of a political party or solicit a political contribution from anyone, or allow his or her name to be used to solicit such a contribution. And my recollection on that was that you couldn't have someone buy you a ticket to a fundraiser, nor could you be the person who was the lead person to host it, but you certainly could allow someone to use your house or your home to have a party. And of course, I do remember somewhat a spirited debate over what if my husband or wife wanted to be the one, and we decided it was not reasonable to preclude anyone from doing those kinds of activities.
What about having your name listed, if your name was listed as an advisory member down somebody's stationery? And an advisory member to a candidate?
Oh, you cannot be that. You cannot do that.
I want to see what it says.
Well, Jackie, this is one of those gray areas where it doesn't really say one way or the other. It just says may not use his or her name as a host.
I think number 5 speaks to it.
I think it's implicit
Yes.
in number 6 too.
Yeah, number 5 and number 6 speaks to it. Number 5 says that you may not publicly comment to show support for or opposition to candidates or issues on the ballot in any election for which the member will be serving on the board of canvassers.
Your family members can, and you can.
Right.
Yeah, I agree.
What about events, Kevin, where, there's a laundry list of people on an invitation? Dozens of names type of thing. There might be there's usually a host, so and so and so and so invite you, and then there's a long list afterwards.
You mean your supporters?
Do you think that would,
You know how this is being hosted by so and so and supporters?
I guess they'd be called supporters, maybe sponsors?
Sometimes they're called hosts. So.
Well, yeah, but if they're not, if they're a level below host, if they're sponsors or...
Well, that's just.
So you don't think any name like
I just
that?
actually said no to an event like that.
Yeah.
That
okay.
they wanted to, for somebody who's running for, and I said, I'm sorry, I can't, because I'm on the board of elections.
Yeah.
I just
If you
think
want to err on the side of caution, you could make a contribution and say,
I made
please
a
don't put your
contribution. That's exactly what I did.
Okay.
don't list my name
So
as
if you're contributing at that level, but say, please don't list my
well,
name.
because
No,
your name then
As a
becomes
host.
publicly comment to show support for a candidate.
Yeah, I got you.
That
Then they
becomes
asked
the
my
problem.
husband, and he said yes. So it's like, but
The other thing is, we get a fair number of petitions here,
yes.
and you cannot sign a petition.
Right.
Yeah, isn't that interesting? You
That
can't
we
even
know that.
sign it.
And we also can't have any yard signs, bumper stickers, etc., for any of the candidates or issues on the ballot.
Correct.
Suppose your husband wants to put them up.
He has to move.
You have to retitle the property in his name.
Divorce
You got to get divorced.
Divided in half.
I think that's a tough one, because I think somebody else who lives in the house, you're taking away their free speech.
Well, you know, comes with the territory. My husband knows he has very little free speech in my house anyway.
My wife hates yard signs, so it's not an issue.
But I think Jackie raises a fair point. I mean, I think it'd be a hard thing to enforce if you say, hey, look, it's not my yard sign, it's my husband's yard sign. You know,
You put his
take
name
it
on it.
take it up with him. He's the one who requested it. He's the one who put it in the ground. He owns the house just like I own the house. I mean, those are tough things to.
Or rents a room in the house and has free speech, or spending the weekend.
Well, renting a room doesn't necessarily give you an opportunity to put a sign on. It's your property, whoever owns it.
Well,
Anyhow, okay.
If these issues come up, please call me.
okay.
I don't know.
My husband will let it
We'll
go.
hire him.
If nothing else, you get an opinion from me. You can blame me if something goes wrong.
But before, just one more question, Kevin. Number 6 seems to suggest that, for example, I've done this many times where I've had to decline to wear a sticker. You go to an event, you can attend the event, but they want you to wear a sticker that says you support the person for whose event it is, and I always decline. Now, I decline partially for other reasons other than these rules, but it looks like number 6 says I should be declining for these rules as well.
So you take
Well,
advantage of these rules.
you should be. And the way this rule came about and was tweaked was we had 2 board members who were going to the national convention.
That's right.
Oh, I can think of
Jerry
one I
and Sam.
know who did it as president.
Oh, it's Jerry and John.
He was a delegate?
Carson and John.
Oh.
They just
Yeah,
went
this rule was
just
tweaked
went.
somehow that it would not preclude you from going to a convention. It was,
Yeah, I don't think it would.
No, but it would preclude
But
you
you're
from
not. But
wearing
you
a
don't.
hat.
You don't wear your
Correct.
you know,
Board
your
of election
badge,
then.
and you don't.
Yes.
correct.
You don't parade around as the board of elections.
No, it's more than that. Number 6 says you don't wear campaign paraphernalia.
Oh well, yeah, but I mean,
Regardless of whether you're wearing a badge
I
that
don't.
says
I
you're
don't
Board
wear
of
it
Elections.
anyway.
I mean, some of them are obvious. Of course you don't do that.
Well, and of course, all of this is under the umbrella that you're showing that you're putting yourself out as on the board of elections. I mean, you know, obviously.
But we're on the Board of Elections whether we say so or not. So, I mean, if I go and wear a sticker and someone knows that I'm on the Board of Elections, I don't have to say I'm on the Board of Elections for that to pose a
That's right.
problem to someone.
Well, you're right, and the wisest course of action, obviously, is not to wear a sticker.
Okay,
Okay?
great, thank you.
Good.
Any other questions? Any other general questions anyone may have?
You can make contributions, right?
Correct.
You can go to fundraisers.
Correct. You just can't have someone pay for you.
Okay, you can have. So it's just those are the main 3 rules. I think it's clear. Thank you, Kevin.
Thank you.
Anything else?
We're getting the beach report from Mark.
Yes.
Yeah, the beach report.
Do we have a
What's
volleyball
the
team?
weather likely to be?
Do we have a volleyball team?
Do we have a long-term weather forecast?
Naheed,
I got
David, what I'm passing out, Jackie, Gracie,
Thank you.
Marianne, Jim,
Thank you.
and Alex. Kevin, I'll give you yours in a second. Basically, what I'm passing out for you is the address of the hotel, a copy of the draft agenda. As we've noted before, the Mayo Committee is planning on providing a final agenda to you in your packet when you get there. This is the latest that's on the website, and there's nothing else that I can provide for you, unfortunately.
Does this have anything more than what we got the last
No.
time when you sent it out?
Or the time before that.
No?
Well, no, I mean,
Familiar.
No.
we didn't get it until the
No.
last board meeting.
What time can you check into the hotel? Do we know?
4 o'clock.
Is it 4
Not
o'clock?
till 4?
But you can go
And
early.
there's actually a meeting starting at 5?
We're getting there.
I don't know. I'm not there the
That's
first
their
day.
meeting, I think.
Um,
I don't think that's us, is it?
No, that's just a Mayo business meeting. I guess the dinner buffet at 6. You just want to check in and get your name tags
Yeah.
and your
On the
dinner
9th.
tickets.
Right.
Yes.
I
And
think we did that last time we
Okay,
were
good,
there.
good.
We didn't go
Have a
to the
nice
dinner
dinner somewhere.
buffet.
Oh,
I
this is
think
not
we
for
went
us?
out,
Yeah,
out
it
of,
is.
out
I got you.
to a different place.
I got you.
Our fees are paid.
Is that
But,
paid for?
but before, we didn't have a meal, and this time we did.
Oh, that's why.
Okay.
Okay, I was wondering.
I'm just
You're trying
sitting
to tell
here.
us that.
Cash drawer, I'll be at that.
I can't.
You'd really.
That's my first order.
Yeah, oh, if it were open.
Anyway, as I was saying, reservations have been made. Check in on June 9th and check out on June 11th. The rooms have been reserved utilizing the county's purchasing card, which means it is imperative that I get a copy of your room receipt. I will not be there on the 10th, but I will be there on the 11th, so you'll have an opportunity to give that to me. If you are only there, and I know a couple of you are only there on the 10th, please make sure that you scan and email that to me, or that you give it to Margaret to give to me, because I've got to have that to reconcile the paperwork for the county. On the paper is your confirmation number if there's any problems. I've also attached a copy of the registration form that was sent in with you, sent in for you for the conference itself. If you've got any other questions, I really don't have that much additional information. If you have any other questions, please let me know.
I have one. You asked us about the dinner at Phillips as to whether we were going or not, and I am not. And yet, I guess, is there any way for the county to get any money back? For
No.
the fact? No.
Really?
No. As an example, none of the staff is attending the dinner because we're not able, we're not staying the night, so
Right,
we're coming
exactly.
back. Mayo will not separate that cost out. We've
Mayo's
asked several
position,
years.
Mayo's position, because I've questioned this on several occasions, and Mayo's position is that they pick up the tab for that, and so it's not covered by the cost of the conference fees.
So they're saying that 235 does not include the
That's
cost
what
of
they
that,
said.
even though it says right next to it Phillips included.
Yes.
I'm just telling you, when I questioned Gail Hatfield, who's the president of the organization, and I asked if we could get a refund because none of the maybe one person from Montgomery County is going to attend that meal. She said no, because that cost is covered by the Mayo reserves.
So who made the reservation is not going? You did?
I'm sorry?
You did? For
No one is
Oh,
going.
nobody, no.
I think I am.
Yeah,
Are
you're
you?
going.
You're going.
Yeah, come
Okay.
stay.
Yeah.
Who's going from the staff?
Nobody.
Are you going to
Oh,
go?
you mean to the meeting?
I mean, to the
I'm
convention.
planning on sticking around.
Margaret and Allison are going. Chris Zizit, our operations manager, Leslie Woods, and myself.
Okay.
Well, the three of us will be there just on Thursday.
I'll be there.
Yeah, Margaret and Allison will be there the full time, but the other three of us will only be there Thursday. Okay.
So the important thing, in a way, is that there are a lot of important sessions on Thursday, aren't there?
Yes.
The 10th is the mandatory day.
Right.
Yes, the 10th is the mandatory day.
Thursday has the discussion of the voting in Virginia on Thursday morning.
Okay, good.
And what is Thursday afternoon exactly? Well, again, there's a new voting system. There's a
Voter outreach for new
presentation.
voting system.
Yeah, does anyone know what that means? Is that just because, isn't the state doing a certain amount of outreach? I mean, wasn't that our understanding?
That we had a conference phone call Monday. We're still waiting for the name of who the successful communications group is that successfully bid that contract. So we're hoping that we'll find out when you find out
Are we going to have an
next
input
week.
into what they do, or is the state going to decide what outreach means and to whom they mean it?
I think the communication group will be deciding what kind of outreach. I don't know, Allison,
There
you sit on
may
the
be a
communication.
more recent version of this agenda, and we'll check, and if so, we will circulate that to all of you. I'll check
Is
this
it coming?
evening. there's something on this that is striking me that I believe I may have heard has changed since then.
I
So
took
we'll-
that off the
we'll check
website
on
last night, just so you know.
that. I understood.
Okay.
But it may be that the one on the website is not up to date and that there's a more recent one, so I will check on that. The reason I say that is because I do not believe that they are having the communications vendor give any presentation at this point. I believe that the Fairfax County discussion is on the afternoon of Thursday,
Oh,
not
they
in the
changed
morning.
Really?
Yes. But I will get that copy of the agenda and circulate it to all of you electronically.
And that same, are they the same, or is that continued?
I don't know what that is. That is not, I believe, what is currently any longer the agenda. I think that is the time slot that the Fairfax County group is now in. So we'll circulate.
I'm sorry,
we'll
which time
circulate
slot
to
is
all of
that?
you.
3 to 5.
I'm operating based off of memory. I'd rather give you accurate information, and I can go get it right now, or
Yeah,
I
you
can
can send it to
circulate
us.
it to you after the meeting.
That's fine. Thank you.
Any other questions or concerns?
Is this the shortest meeting ever?
No, but it's not a real meeting, it's a
This is not
function. There's nothing that we are doing as a group. I remember 4 years ago at my first one, we actually got together for dinner that first night, we being Montgomery County.
4 years ago, they had just hors d'oeuvres and drinks. This year, they actually have a buffet. So, because of the county rules, we paid for a conference. We're going to the paid dinner at the buffet.
But we
Yeah.
could look for each other.
Well, Marianne, I'd
Yes.
be happy to buy you a drink at that dinner.
Is that a cash bar?
Yeah, we can change bars. We can go to any other bar you want to.
Cash registration.
Can you bring her own?
Is there a motion to adjourn?
Well, I move the adjourn.
Second?